Estuve investigando sobre el espacio, universo, y lo que nos están ocultando. Y buscando encontré información que es difícil de creer. Pues encontré un vídeo que algunos de ustedes ya habrán visto quizá ya hace unos años atrás, pues para los que no lo hayan visto es un vídeo donde el gobierno canadiense en una reunión o conferencia aceptan que Estados Unidos tiene en su poder 2 extraterrestres vivos. Sí, escuchaste bien. Extraterrestres vivos. Mi nombre es Waldir Juárez aquí en tu canal. Acomódate bien en tu trono porque hoy vas a ver 2 extraterrestres vivos y trabajando con los humanos en nuestro planeta. Sería muy tonto que siguiéramos creyendo que somos el centro del universo, que somos los únicos. Cuando el universo es casi infinitamente colosal y hermoso con bastantes sistemas solares. Estrellas parecidas a la nuestra. La que nos ilumina cada día de nuestra vida. Planetas casi idénticos a este donde vivimos. Hay miles de millones de ellos, pues la pregunta es, ¿ya nos han visitado extraterrestres desde otras galaxias? ¿O de nuestra propia galaxia? La respuesta es sí. Ya nos han visitado y no solo eso, ya estamos conviviendo con ellos. Hay bastantes vídeos que dicen lo mismo, algunos son reales, pero también otros son muy falsos solo para ganar viralidad, etc. Pero lo que no sabíamos es que el gobierno estadounidense ya está trabajando con alienígenas que los están ayudando con tecnología en artillería muy avanzada. La tecnología obtenida gracias a ello, te puedes preguntar, ¿será para protegernos de posibles extraterrestres hostiles? ¿O para sus propios beneficios como ser los más avanzados ganándole así a Rusia en tecnología? ¿Para sus propias guerras? Pues son bastantes preguntas que ni siquiera podríamos imaginar las respuestas. Después de haber dicho eso, aquí te presento aquel vídeo que encontré que ya hace años fue subido por un youtuber llamado Fabio Complejo. Pues sin más que decir, los dejo con el vídeo.
And what I thought to myself is there are huge issues here, huge issues. And the American people and the people of the world have a right to know what's going on. Because they're part of it. It's not just an isolated thing. And so after confirming the contents of the book with a retired United States Air Force general, I accept the invitation of Victor Vigiani, who's over here somewhere, and his cohort Mike Bird, to speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto. And I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. That gave me the dubious distinction of being the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 group of countries to say so unequivocally. Since then, I've learned a lot from many sources, including a number of the fantastic witnesses that we have heard these last 4 days. They were so outstanding, I was just really blown away with them, the amount of information that was available. And I appreciate every single one of them. But because I'm not a ufologist, I'm a politician, there are only a few things that I want to add in that particular realm. First is that about in the 1960s sometime, there was a flotilla of UFOs headed south that crossed into NATO territory in Europe. And the Commander-in-Chief of the Supreme Allied Headquarters in Europe was naturally very shaken. Fortunately, or maybe divine providence, before the panic button was pushed, the flotilla turned around and headed back north. Obviously, they had thought maybe they were Russian, and they were very concerned about it. Anyway, the investigation was launched into this whole subject, and a document was prepared which concluded that at least 4 species had been visiting Earth for thousands of years. And this is my own view at this stage as well. So, except for that, there are just a couple of things that we've talked about that I'd like to refer to. And one was that we were referring to them as they until this morning when Linda Moulton Howe, I think she was the first one, actually named 3 different species. I have brought my latest book called Light at the End of the Tunnel, A Survival Plan for the Human Species, as an aide-memoir, and I name 5 different species here. I'm aware of more now. As a matter of fact, I saw a document just a few days ago that mentioned 20. And I think you, Mr. Chairman, were interested in some of the places they might come from. And I have in here Zeta reticuli, R-E-T-I-C-U-L-I, reticuli, the Pleiades, Orion, Andromeda, and the Altair star systems. So I don't think we can any more refer to them as they, because they're not an amorphous mass. They are different species and consequently may have different agendas. I don't think we can say that they all have the same agenda any more than we could say that the United States, China, and Russia had the same agenda. Our real interests may be very similar, but as of now, our perceived interests are still quite far apart. One more observation before I begin what I want to say, and that is that we spent quite a bit of time talking about the 66-year-old cadavers. And I was glad to have Linda this morning finally say that there are live ETs on Earth at this present time, and at least 2 of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. And this is when Paula Harris broke the story just a few years ago. And through her good offices, I had the chance to talk for about 3 hours with former Airman Charles Hall and listen to this absolutely fascinating story of how he was working with, first of all, he was scared out of his skin, but after that, when he got to know them, how he was working with, and finally they became to trust each other and have a good working relationship with the tall whites at the gunnery range at Indian Springs in Nevada. And these tall whites were living on United States Air Force property and working in cooperation with the United States Air Force and sharing technology with them. He wrote a book, incidentally, called Millennial Hospitality. There are 4 different versions, but Paula says that Millennial Hospitality number 2 is the best. I think that's the one I read, and it's a very interesting.
Tal y como acabas de ver, estamos conviviendo con extraterrestres. Pues espero que esto no lleve a conflictos como guerras nucleares con esa tecnología obtenida, o que nunca lleguen esas razas hostiles. De que ya muchos científicos ya han hablado. Sería terrible para la humanidad. Bueno amigos, espero les haya gustado el vídeo. Espero te suscribas y compartas el vídeo, esto me ayudaría a esforzarme más en este proyecto. Dale tu pulgar arriba. No olvides que seguiré subiendo material como este y también casos paranormales, información del universo y gameplays, y mucho más. Pueden ver mis vídeos anteriores. Están muy buenos. Mi nombre es Waldir Juárez aquí en su canal. Me despido hasta la próxima.